So Virana comes heading toward you. She has a truly magnificent, it is sylvan wood, which is an extremely rare form of wood that really only the Dalish are able to work with to create things. It is wood that comes from the bark of a sylvan, which is a tree that has been possessed by a spirit and gains sentience. Sylvan wood is extremely rare, very powerful, and her entire staff is carved in it, and it's I think you're the only one who really can appreciate, like, it's a banging staff. That's a nice staff she has. But she comes walking toward you, and she says, I had sprites looking out for your arrival to tell me when you came. She says, is he... And she, starts searching frantically through the companions that you have around you.
I'm getting real awkward. I think I just sort of stammer, and I'm like, yes, he came, he's here.
She says, please, I haven't seen him in nearly 20 years now.
How would I address her? Would I address her Keeper?
Yes, you would address her as Keeper.
Okay.
If you want to be more formal, it would be a Keeper clan name, so Keeper Sulanan, but just Keeper is fine.
Okay. I think I sort of, turn half around looking for Lannon, and I turn back to her and I say, indeed, Keeper Virana, shouting.
Oh my god.
Super not subtle.
You have turned around and you can't find Lannon, at least not at first. That was just a half turn.
Oh, fuck.
He doesn't volunteer himself, certainly.
He is here. I don't know if now was a good time. Is there somewhere we can find you?
She says, Clan Sulanan has a few Aravels set up just outside the city, but she looks like she's absolutely, desperate. She just really, really wants to see him.
Wait here. Let me see if I can perhaps... and I just, leave. and try to find him.
So she stands there awkwardly while you fuck off. It doesn't take a lot to find Lannon. He is, his back is pressed to the vendor stall, so he's, just out of sight of her. He's got his hand clasped against his chest, and he's, hyperventilating.
Oh, that's not good. You should, breathe. Lannon, breathe.
How are you breathing?
Not well. You're doing a bad job. Do better. I, step forward, and I'm like, okay, I did this with Red. Okay, so breathe in through your nose. And
I am breathing!
I step back and put my hands up, okay. I take it you saw her.
Yes.
We don't have to do this, you know.
This is a huge mistake. I should never have come to the Arlath'len
at
all. I shouldn't have come. I should have agreed to meet with her.
It's not a mistake. It's good that you're here.
Oh, I think I'm gonna puke.
That's, I take a step back.
Can I just, run? Can I just, get out of the Arlath'len now?
No. Lannon, you've never been a coward. Come on. We can do this. We can do this together. I'll be right here. I won't leave your side.
With that auspicious declaration of he turns around sharply around the vendor stall, and he's like, just get it over with. Just ripping off a bandage that's been on there for 20 years and is solidified to your skin. Just rip it off. He comes striding forward. He keeps his hood up because he's still paranoid. But Keeper Virana, who is standing exactly where you told her to stand, sees him, and the expression on her face is there's a lot of complicated emotions that are passing over her face, and she takes a hesitant half step forward, and she says, Lannon. And he's obviously looking very vulnerable right now, right? There aren't a lot of people in this world who have the power to really hurt him. She is one of those people.
Oh, I'm I think as we're walking up, I'm trying to keep stride as much as possible next to him. I'm literally at his shoulder.
He is silent for a while, staring at her, and then he decides the best way to greet her would be, Keeper. And she doesn't seem to know what to say to that for a moment, and then eventually she says, Clan Sulanan has some Aravels set up outside the city. Is it possible we could go somewhere to talk? And he looks desperately at you, Sabre, please don't leave me alone with her.
Oh no. Yeah, no, I'll come with you if you want to come with me.
He just kind of like grabs, like, has a death grip on your elbow and nods and like follows her when she walks through the crowded streets of Halam Sharal. And there are I promise there is going to be fun shenanigans that the rest of the characters can get up to with the Arlathvhen. I promise, but
Not right now.
we have to do this scene first. I have a list of fun things that you get to do as a reward for this emotionally excruciating scene.
Excellent, thanks.
Great.
So,
quick question.
yes.
I'm a suspicious person. Is there anything I can roll to be like? I mean, I know they're members of like they're also Dalish, and that probably gives them at least some like they're not like Shem, who I'd be like, I'm not going anywhere with you, fuckers. But like, is there anything I could roll? Because I'm just like, this feels like a trap. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it depends. Like, are you looking for like a physical trap, or are you trying to get a gauge on Virana?
Yeah, gauge on Virana.
That would be an empathy roll.
Okay, well, this is going to end poorly, but I'm going to do it anyway.
With a 9, the most that you get from her is she is also very nervous. She's not like borderline having a panic attack like Lannon is, but she's definitely nervous. Like, she's got that sort of like hummingbird energy, you know, like very high intensity, very nervous.
Yeah. Okay.
Which that could be good or bad.
Yeah.
But eventually, she does guide you out of Halam Sharal, and just outside the borders of the city, indeed, there are set up. There's got to be, like, you've seen this many Aravels in one place before, but only at the last Arlathvhen you attended. So Aravels, they're called landships by Shemlin. Aravels are made distinctive by the colors of the sails on these landships. You know, like, each clan will have a different set of colors on their Aravel to distinguish them. The sails of the Aravels of Clan Sulanon are golden and green, and they are about 7 or 8, which is a common number for a clan to have Aravels altogether. Typically, there would be one Aravel specifically for the keeper in the first and the second, if there's a second. And then there would be one for, like, storage, and then there would be one for, like, the Hala Keeper and the Hala Keeper's supplies. And she immediately ducks into one with a canvas flap as a door. The Aravel smells very thickly, even from the outside, of traditional Dalish incense that you recognize at One Sabre. Your own keeper, Marathari, had incense like this that she would burn regularly whenever, especially after a funeral or after a great, some sort of loss in the clan. She climbs inside, and Lannon nervously looks over his shoulder, over at you, and then sort of hesitantly climbs in. And you are alone in this Aravel with Keeper Virana. And she says, please, can you just... She reaches over to, like, take down Lannon's head, and Lannon, like, scoots back a couple inches, just as a reflex, almost. But after realizing that she didn't, like, reach out with a dagger, he hesitantly pulls his hood down. And she spends just kind of a while just staring at him. And the longer that goes on, the more awkward it gets. It adds to an awkward energy in the Aravel.
I think after like 30 seconds of this, I'm like, so this is some nice incense.
That's a nice Aravel you got here. That does seem to snap her out of whatever little reverie she is experiencing. And she says, yes, sorry, it's just been so long since I've seen you. And Lannon kind of nods. Like, he is expecting at any moment for her to ask him to do something for her, you know? Like the reason I brought you here is because, you know, some political bullshit or something like that. Like, he's bracing for that. Like, he's almost convinced himself that that's why he's here.
I put my hand up on his shoulder and, like, squeeze it. Like, calm down.
Ha! He's never been calm once in his entire life! But these fears, like, any minute she's gonna ask me to do some stupid political thing for her. Those don't come true, at least not immediately. The first thing she asks him, she says, How was your life with Arlath'len clan? And he frowns and he says, it was fine, I guess. Keeper Deshana was a good woman. She did her best for me under the circumstances. And she says, good. Keeper Deshana, I heard good things about her, and there are worse places that you could have gone. I was pleased that it was what about as Inquisitor? How was your life as Inquisitor? Like, she's trying to catch up on a whole life that she missed in, like, 20 minutes, and it's gonna take a while. And he's like, he doesn't want to just flat out tell her, like, I hated it. I hated every second of it. I wanted to climb into the back of an Aravel and let it carry me so far into the woods that no one could ever see me again. But all he manages to say is, fine. It was fine. And she kind of scoots forward a couple more inches. She says, are you happy? And that question kind of takes him off guard, not because he didn't expect it, but because he realizes he can't say yes.
Oh no.
And though after a couple beats of a pause, he says, I'm well, which is about the best that he can do. And she says, that's good. Have you met anyone special? And immediately Lannon looks down at his arm, or his lack of arm. That's his first instinct when she asks, have you met anyone special? He looks down at the arm that Solus cut off about a year ago.
Oh.
And he stares at it for a while, and then he looks over at you, Sabre.
I look back awkwardly. Like, what's up with your arm, buddy? I think I turned bright red. I was like, this is a blushing time for sure.
Oh god.
And right before Virana is starting to, like, in capital N, notice that, Lannon just sort of interjects with, no, not really. Not substantially.
He's been very busy. There's a lot of work to do.
I'm very busy. I was Inquisitor for like 3 years, and that monopolized a lot of my time.
It's hard to date.
She says, oh, okay. What happened to your Arlath'len? And he's like, oh god,
this conversation.
Listen, there's a whole can of worms along with that, Keeper. There is a reason, but I don't think now's the time to discuss it. And she looks a little bit, like she's not sure what to make of that, right? But she says, all right, well, I'll take your word for it. I want to hear the story at some point. I want to hear all the stories that I never had the opportunity to hear. And Lannon opens his mouth and almost says, like, I wrote you letters once a month for 3 years. If you were interested in hearing all those stories, you could have responded to a letter. But he, like, visibly bites that back. And she says, I suppose now isn't the time or the place, although I hope we can find a time and find a place. And she says, listen, Dalish, there was a more specific reason I wanted to talk to you as well. A few of the other keepers have been pressuring Sulanan clan, and then, like, you can see it, like, break on Lannon's face, like, just that thin little, like, oh, right, she wants something from me. And, like, she is stuttering her way through this explanation, but Lannon cuts her off, and he's like, yeah, okay. And then he, like, rubs his forehead with his palm, and he says, yeah, sure, okay, whatever it is you wanted, okay. And he, like, scoots his way back out of the Aravel, and she's like, wait, Lannon, where are you? He says, it's fine. I'll do it. I'll do whatever. And he gets out of the Aravel.
I think I round on Virana. Really? After all of this?
She looks confused. She's like, I don't understand. What did I do?
All you wanted was a favor? After all those years? You just wanted to capitalize on his fame? So you could get something that you wanted.
No, that's not at all. I'm trying to warn him.
What?
She says, those keepers that I mentioned, the keepers of Clan Rashana and Iran, Virtavan, they've been involved in a strange recruiting effort among the other clans. They're talking about having a permanent settlement, but the people that are recruited to this cause, they go missing. And they've been going after famous elves, Briala among them. And it doesn't strike me as impossible that they might go after him too. She says, please. And she, like, tries to get past you to, like, follow him out of the Aravel.
No, I'm gonna block her.
Oh no!
She says, I just wanted to warn him, please.
Why didn't you just put that in your letter?
I didn't think it was safe to write in a letter.
That's probably a good point. Fuck. I grab her shoulders. Stay here. I'll find him. And I go out to see if I can track him down.
So he is not very hard to find. He is a ways away from the Aravel. There's a whole mass of Aravels lined up. But it is technically outside the city, so you can see Halam Shiral. It's only a couple steps away, but he is like leaning against a tree, just sort of staring ruefully up at the sky.
So, I just sort of like go up next to him and like stand shoulder to shoulder.
He doesn't say anything.
Well, that was a lot.
He sort of shrugs. It's all right.
She's worried about you.
Yeah, I'm sure that is what she said.
She said...
It's all right. He cuts you off. I've become accustomed to heartbreak. I'll do whatever it is she wants me to do, and then I'll never see her again. I know how it works.
That's not Lannon. I thought that too.
Could you find out what she wants for me, please? Because I can't look at her without feeling sick to my stomach.
I just have a, like, heartbroken look on my face. Lannon, not everybody in this world wants things from you.
He says, I haven't had a lot of proof to the contrary.
I asked her. When you left, I yelled at her. She said that she's worried because there have been elves going missing. And she worried that you might be next.
I'm sure she was also worried about her own clan being a target. I'm sure she also wanted me to perform some investigation or some act of vengeance upon who she imagines the perpetrators to be. It's fine, Sabray.
It could just be motherly concern, Lannon. That doesn't happen sometimes.
Well, I've never experienced it, so I wouldn't know it if I saw it.
It's been a long time for me, too. I can get the details from her, Lannon, but are you sure you... I know you've already gone through a lot. I wouldn't ask you to do much more than you've already done, but it wouldn't hurt to just hear out what she has to say.
If it's all the same, I'd rather just get drunk.
I'd, like, clasp his shoulder. I suppose you've earned that. After everything. I'll go catch up with her.
He nods, wordlessly. He does look very grateful. Lannon approves, by the way. And he heads off, shoes crunching in the dry grass toward Halam Shiral. Ren is trying to make a real Dalish out of you, Cassandra.
Oh boy.
Like he is getting you a whole bunch of Dalish food and insisting that you try it and trying to teach you like Elvish words for things.
Yeah, and I'm just like trying to like keep up with him. Like Ren,
He is not listening. He immediately stuffs another Elvish food into your mouth. This one is spicy.
Oh, good. I like spicy, but I'm just like okay. I'm eating this now.
Stupid son of a bitch. He's gonna get kidnapped.
And like in between bites, I'm like, before you put something else in my mouth, Ren, I have a question.
And he has like a bun prime to go into your mouth.
I'm like, no, wait. It's a sibling question, I guess. How do you make up when you fight with your brother?
He stares at you in confusion. I don't know, you're like, you'll wait a couple days and then you noogie him? That's usually what I did.
You do nothing?
Well, I don't know, maybe our relationship wasn't the best example.
I don't think Elian would appreciate me messing his hair up.
Definitively not.
I just kind of like look at Ren like he is Orlesian. Like very seriously.
He says, well, that's fair. I didn't realize that he was going to be in the sibling group too. So I only got room for so many brothers. But he says, I don't know if you're that worried. You can go talk to him. But when you're done, and he holds up the bun again, like, you're trying this.
As you wish.
I am also going to see if I can get you a Dalish staff, and then he like goes off.
I'm like, oh, okay. That's probably a bad idea. But he's like already gone. I'm like, all right, sure.
Presumably Zevran has gone with him.
Right. I'm like looking around to see if I can find where Elian is. Like,
You're tall, he's Orlesian, he stands out.
I am very tall, so I'm like, oh, there he is. So Orlesian stands out among the Dalish, just like me. And I just sort of like quietly as my giant self is capable of, like,
It's just pretty fucking quiet, it has been established.
apparently, yeah, exactly. I'm very sneaky, apparently. But I just kind of, like, just stand there, like, behind you. So if you turn around, there I'll be.
No, so I think he looks up from what he was doing, realizes that, oh shit, they're gone. Did I miss them? And he turns around. Hi. Hi.
Hi. If you're looking for Ren, I was not fast enough. He went off to find me a staff. Don't think it's a good idea for me to have a Dalish staff, but
I don't know it's necessarily a bad idea.
I just sort of cant my head at you but I'm not Dalish.
Doesn't mean you can't appreciate their work.
He says, eyeing some of the Dalish instruments being sold in the corner.
Right?
I just sort of look nervously around and then whisper, I can't tell any of these woods apart. They're just trees.
Should we go find Ren and the others?
Well, we could, except I don't really know which direction he went.
Oh, okay.
Think he is trying to give me an opportunity.
Elian has that, panicked hair look on his eyes. He's just oh god, I need somewhere to run. I can't run. There is nowhere to hide here.
Yeah, so I just, look down, because, you are a very small little human. I asked him a question about making up, and then he just ran off. So I guess that's happening now. And I just sort of awkwardly look at you, Elian, I said things.
It's okay. It was a terrible day. I don't blame you. I could have told you something was up, prepared you somehow. That was not right of me either.
I spoke to Yariel afterward, and I guess I'm glad that you told one of us.
I shouldn't have done it.
I also should not have said those things. Elian, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry too. I don't know how I'm gonna make it up to anybody else, but it's... Thank you.
And I just reach out for your hands are you okay? I mean, after saying that in front of everyone, I didn't even consider, of course, it would hurt you to say something like that.
If it had just been people, I'm used to lying, but no, I'm not okay. I'll be okay. Maybe. Eventually.
I sort of squeeze your hand, I know, it wasn't just people. You said it to Leander, and I know how much you care about him.
I said it for him. He's free. So, it's not nothing.
That's true. He is free now.
I don't know. I haven't been able to talk to him.
Maybe give him some space for now.
If I gave him any more space, I'd have to be in a different city, but yeah. And I think he just kind of hesitantly hugs you.
And that definitely makes me beam and smile yay, I did it! I did a thing! Like a dog wagging its tail I don't know what I did, but I'm happy about it. And of course, yeah, I hug you back a little bit. I'm okay, I think we should probably go try to find Ren and Zephyrin.
Probably. I mean, you were over there, so let's try that way.
Right. He did say I had to eat a bun, so he's gonna find me. I'm gonna turn around and he's gonna shove it in my mouth. That's what he's been doing all day.
How? He's so short.
Apparently Dalish can jump very high, or at least Ren can.
And yeah, you turn around looking for us, where is he? He's gonna shove another bun in my throat. You turn around, you look for Ren, and you find him. You find him because he's surrounded by a bunch of elven kids who are in the process of climbing up his body. And you can definitely hear a couple of them saying stuff like, "You're really Ren Sabre?"
Oh no.
like one for like undue attention, but these are really cute kids. And they are at present using him as a jungle gym, and he loves that shit. He was always the best with kids when he was still with his clan, so he's indulging them, and they're asking him a whole bunch of questions like, was the archdemon really big? Like, yeah, fucking course it was. You've fucking seen a high dragon? They're huge.
Right, exactly. It's a fucking dragon, dude. Like, come on.
But yeah, he is, it looks like people are starting to recognize him. It is becoming a thing.
Oh, no.
Oh, dear.
Oh. I just sort of look at Ellie and like, oh no.
Distraction? We can do distraction.
Zevran is like kind of off watching it, like logically he knows he should stop it, but also this is really cute, and like you're gonna have to tell them all anyway, right? So he's just kind of letting this happen.
Hey, you mentioned that you were gonna go look for staffs for Cassandra. Can we go look?
Ren currently has a child climbing on his shoulders, trying to get onto his head. It looks like trying to climb directly on top of his head. And right as he turns to address you, that kid like covers both of his eyes with his hands. He says, "I'm sorry, I can't do that right now. I've gone blind. You're gonna have to go on without me."
Oh no, we can't possibly do that. There must be some way that we can restore your sight.
Look around you, man. The world's gone dark, and he like swings around so the kid is going like his legs are flying. It's like there's nothing to be done.
I'm just standing there awkwardly like, I have never played in my life. Kunari don't play, so I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
So I think Ellie is just going to go full on with this and is just going to like sneak up as sneakily as possible and just like scoop the kid up.
The kid howls in laughter, and he says, "Oh my god, it's a miracle I can see again." And as soon as you get the kid off, like, one of the other kids start asking him, is like, is it true that you stabbed the archdemon and exploded half of Denner? It's like, okay.
Oh my god.
We've got to go look at something, kids. We'll be around, okay?
You do manage to diffuse the tension, but, like, word is spreading now. People are noticing.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking for Sabre, like, how can we do damage control?
It's past the point of damage control. Like,
yep.
People are noticing. This is a thing that is happening now.
Oh, God.
So, Sabre, you come back into the Aravel, and Virana is looking like she's done something wrong, and she's panicking.
Well, she has done something wrong, kind of.
Yeah, she has. It's like she fucked up a little bit. She hasn't really realized why.
Yeah, that's fair.
She doesn't have the full context.
I think I like walk into the tent and I lean up against the side of it with my arms crossed. He's not coming back.
There's like a obvious like shot through of like pain. She's like, is he ever coming back?
I don't know. That's not a question I can answer. I don't know if that's a question he can answer right now. Maybe.
She says, "Did I do something wrong? All I wanted to do was warn him."
He's used to people taking advantage of him, Verana. He's used to people wanting to use his fame for their own needs. And that's what he thinks is happening right now.
Like, she's not stupid, right? And like obviously she hadn't gotten the full context of it, but when you explain it to her, like, it obviously clicks together in her head, and she like sits down heavily. She's like, "Oh, creators."
And so when you asked, I think you didn't have bad intentions. It was a lot for him to come here in the first place. He just needs time.
She says, all right, I understand. I should have thought it through, but my warning is real. I am very sincerely concerned about this."
Yes. Me as well. I know quite a few people who might fall into this category, and so I need you to tell me everything you know.
The 3 largest clans of the Dalish, I'm sure you've heard of them. Clans Drashana, Niran, and Virtavan. And yes, you have heard of these 3 clans. These 3 clans, like, they alone make up almost, like, 25% of the Dalish population. Those 3 alone. There are, like, close to 100 clans across Thedas. But Rashana, Niran, Virtavan, they are huge. The Keepers have quite a lot of political power, such as it is among the Dalish, and yeah, so you've definitely heard of them. She says, "It began with Clan Roshana," and she says, "Oh, what do you know about the land that was granted to us?" And I'm not going to make you roll for this. You know absolutely nothing about this.
Excellent. Sweet. I have no problem admitting that. Nothing.
But for like a very specific reason, you know nothing about this. And she, like, when your face is just blank, she's like, You didn't hear about it? It involved your brother. You weren't told?" And like, you weren't told a lot of stuff about your brother.
Yeah.
You sure weren't.
I just sort of shake my head. Why don't you just tell me?
Okay. Well, after the end of the 5th Blight, when your brother died, she has not yet heard the news. She's been in this Erevel the whole time. Boy, is she in for a fun surprise later.
I do not bother to correct her. Yep.
She says, after your brother died, King Alistair, the newly appointed King of Ferelden, as a gesture of goodwill toward the Dalish and as thanks for your brother's service in eradicating the Blight, granted Clan Sabre a small parcel of land on which to settle permanently. And quick pause to, that is a big deal. Like, giving the Dalish a place to permanently settle, that's huge. Like, that's giving the Dalish a new place to have a home, like a permanent home. And, you know, they've lost their home twice, so culturally that's huge. That's an enormous gesture of goodwill from King Alistair. From what I understand, Clan Sabre did not feel entirely qualified to settle permanently on land, to deal with the politics of it, the infrastructure, everything that, you know, a permanent settlement required. So they gave the land more formally to Clan Virtavan, who began the process of making a permanent settlement there. And she says for many years it was just that, just a small settlement, a little village north of the Korkari Wilds. But over the last couple years, it has grown into something more. They're calling it Arlath'len, and taxonomically, Arlath'len mean, like, you know the word Dalen? Like child. Len is like a diminutive prefix, means like little. So obviously this is like a play on the word Arlath'len.
Oh, okay.
Like little Arlath'len.
That's concerning.
They've been inviting individual clans one at a time to come and permanently settle there. And, you know, sometimes word is sent back from the members of that clan back to other clans, but a lot of the time they're not. A lot of the times those clans that settle there permanently just sort of drop off the map altogether. And lately I've been hearing that Clan Virtavan has been reaching out to Briala. Briala, you're going to have to roll, unfortunately. I look forward to having you fail this roll. This would be,
oh my god,
this would be cultural lore. The 9's not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. Yeah, you have heard the name Briala. Briala is a city elf. She's actually from Halam Sharal. She was, you don't know the whole story. Like, she's Orlesian, and she, like, she runs, like, a secret underground coterie of elves that were part of the Orlesian Civil War or something. Like, what? You don't know the whole backstory to it, because fucking politics. Like, who fucking cares?
Yeah, that sounds right.
It's like there was some sort of civil war. Brielle was one of the party members. You probably would have like pulled for her if you knew the details. Honestly, you don't know the details, and you probably still pull for her a little bit because like you don't know how the Orlesian Civil War ended. You do know it ended somehow. You don't really know the details.
This is like when people tell a story about like there's a man and a woman involved, and I'm like, okay, I'm not saying that I know all the story. I'm just saying the woman is probably right.
Right, exactly.
They've been trying to court Brielle to get the elves under her employ to come and settle in Arlath'len with them. Which, on the surface, is a gesture of goodwill toward non-Dalish elves, but given the history of what's been going on there, I'm just a little bit concerned. Brielle is an important elven political figure. Her life is dangerous enough.
Was there any news on whether she's thinking of accepting?
She shakes her head. I haven't heard from her. We don't keep in close correspondence. I've never met the woman, but...
So how have you come to hear of all of this, and why aren't you interested in joining?
She says, well, I came to hear of it because Clan Sulanan was invited.
Have you made up your mind?
Oh, yes, I have made up my mind. We're not going. But I'm worried that if I say as much to any of the keepers of Clan Virtavan, Clan Yuran, Clan Roshana, I'm worried that they're going to take it badly. There are elves that have gone missing in this process, you understand. I don't want to put my clan in danger.
Have any other famous elves gone missing yet, or is it just that it seems like they're collecting them?
She says, I'm not sure. The whole thing has been kept very hush-hush.
Have you ever heard the name Solus?
She shakes her head. No, I haven't.
Interesting. This is concerning. So, out of character question, is it common for, like, these big clans to join together? Or is this, like, way out of character?
This is weird. Like, on the surface of it, like, the story itself, like, you are perfectly willing to believe that, like, apparently King Alistair was a friend of your brother's, so you're willing to believe that King Alistair would do something like this to, like, honor your brother's memory as a thank you and, like, a gesture of goodwill to the Dalish. Mm-hmm. And on its surface, like, that sounds like a really nice thing that he did. But, like, a permanent settlement of elves hasn't happened since the fall of the Dales. Historically, when elves settle permanently somewhere, it doesn't go well.
Ends very poorly.
Either they live in alienages or their civilization is toppled. So,
okay,
there is a way to do this correctly, to have a permanent settlement of elves run by elves. But based on what Keeper Verana is describing, it sounds like it's probably not this.
Okay. So I asked Verana, do you have any examples of people who've gone missing? Perhaps we can ask around subtly and try to find out if anyone knows anything here.
Yes, Clan Viella. Clan Viella was the last one to go completely missing. I haven't even seen their Aravels here.
Okay. This really is concerning news, Verana. I'm glad you mentioned it.
I just want to protect my son. My life, I have an apprentice ready to take over if something should happen to me, but my son is irreplaceable. Please. And she, like, reaches over and grabs your hand. Please protect him, even if it means my death. He is more important than me.
I grasp her elbow and I say, his safety is very important to me.
Swear it. Swear it in an oath to the creators. Melanada Darthavaran. So Melanada Darthavaran, you don't have to roll for this. That is a sacred oath. Like, they use that at Dalish weddings. They use that when a Dalish wants to make a bond, like, before the creators. They swear this promise before the creators, and may the creators strike them down if they should break it. This is a big ask. Ooh. She's saying, protect my son, swear it before the creators.
Oh, God. I promise you on my life, I will do anything I can. Melanada Darthavaran.
She inclines her head and she says, thank you. Thank you. And she looks like she's willing to believe you.
I will talk to my team. We'll see what we can do. We'll ask around. You should not accept their invitation.
She says, trust me, I won't. So a little bit of time has passed. You all, like, you're keeping, like, loosely together, I imagine, or you tell me, you correct me if I'm wrong. You're keeping loosely together, but you are kind of doing your own thing. Like, Talgan, he is on that elf wine. He is ready to get absolutely schlammered. The last time he got drunk on elf wine, he had an awesome time.
I need to know, is he popular with the elf ladies?
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and it's kind of mysterious.
I thought he'd be, like, weirdly popular. Like, you'd be like, I don't understand what they see in him, but somehow they're just like, oh yeah.
I imagine, like, if at some point after Yariel comes out of the Aravel, like, you know, with all this information, and you pass the big area where one of the clan masters is serving wine, and you can hear, like, two elven women talking. It's like, that's him. That's Talgan. Like, there's somehow a rumor that's been spread about him through the Dalish clans.
Oh god,
that's amazing.
That's excellent. I love it.
Talgan is getting his drink on, and he is so popular with the Dalish women, and, like, more than a couple Dalish men as well. Mm-hmm. Fenris is getting in, like, there are regular, like, they're not formal tests of arms or anything. It's not like a formal, like, battle ring, but he is involved in, a couple arm wrestling contests. Oh, no. He is enjoying himself. He's learning some Dalish-style sword play. He's having a good time.
Yeah, so Elian is feeling a little bit more confident after having made up with Cassandra. He's not entirely sure if he's ready, but he also doesn't want to just let this linger. So I think he's just been kind of waiting for a chance to approach Leander. So what has Leander been up to?
Leander has been looking at a lot of Dalish-made staves. He has been browsing some of the kind of the mage-related items that they sell. Kind of lingeringly, like, he's not capable of wistfulness. Not really, but, like, there aren't a whole lot of reasons a Tranquil would be looking at magical items.
Oh, that's ouch. So I think, Elian just kind of bites his lip and goes over. Leander?
He looks over, his expression is completely flat. He says, yes.
Can we talk?
Yes.
Ellian just kind of walks to the side of the stall so that people can still be looking at stuff. Words are my thing and words are failing me. I'm sorry about that, but I'm so sorry.
Why?
I provoked you. I used his words. I was doing it to try to help you, and I shouldn't have done that.
You did help me. I am no longer a slave.
I was going to ask if you're upset, but you Ellian doesn't know how to feel about this, that he is okay. You're all right, though.
I am physically fine.
So the last time something like that was said to you, you holed up in your room for weeks on end, and it was an ice cave, and are you okay?
He says, the intention was different this time. He says, Elian, you are asking me to have a nuanced opinion about the morality of doing bad things for a good reason. I am not capable of emotions that complex. If I am ever broken of my tranquility, perhaps I will have a more thorough opinion about what you did. But for now, I am only capable of the barest minimum of emotion. He says, you did a bad thing that resulted in a good thing. I am not capable of anything more nuanced than appreciation.
Oh, that hurts. Like, in a good way it hurts, but also it hurts.
If it's my forgiveness you want, I grant it to you. I do not know if I will feel the same if this tranquility is broken. But for now, he shrugs, there is not enough of me to hold a grudge against you.
Elian's face just kind of wavers at that, because that's awful. He should be able to be upset or anything, but because he's tranquil, this is awful. Elian hates this.
He turns and he looks at the staff that he had been eyeing. It's a beautiful staff that he's looking at. This one is made of iron bark, according to the tag. And he says, there is a connection to the fade that I miss more than anything. He says, I know that you are terrified of magic, but there was a simple beauty in reaching through the veil and feeling something greater than yourself, being able to manipulate it with raw willpower, with thought and intent. I miss it more than I can describe.
I do understand, I think. It's not the same, not remotely, but that's how I feel about music, and I can only imagine if something took that from me.
He says, I saw you eyeing those Dalish instruments.
I have no idea how to play any of them. Do you think anybody knows and would teach me?
There is a bard playing at the feasting tent.
You distracted me.
He says, yes, I think you need a good distraction, Elian. You've been stewing in your own sadness and self-interest for a little too long now.
Ouch.
Dang.
You're right. You're right.
I would offer to get drinks with you, but I'm not sure what effect alcohol would have on me.
But now we have to have at least one drink. Come on.
The feasting tent is the largest setup in the alienage. It's this massive, it's got to be like 12 posters holding up an enormous blue and white canvas top. And the smell, God, like right outside there is a huge fire pit with a roasting, it looks like a druffalo maybe.
Oh my
and
god.
Druffalo are huge, but then they're roasting it whole. The smell is amazing. The smell is great. And, it's packed with people, and it's only getting more packed the later it gets when people are starting to get hungry. But you all managed to find each other, again, at one of the tables. Almost everyone. Zevran and Ren are off. There's like a gaggle of children following Ren around now.
Oh no.
And he is more than happy to keep them entertained. He loves kids. He's always loved kids. And Zevran just likes watching him have fun, so he's with them. But everyone else gathers around the end of a feasting table, and Talgan is there, and he inexplicably has a elven woman on his lap. She's just there now. Just gonna have to get used to that reality.
It's loud, right? It's like super loud if we have this conversation.
It's incredibly loud, but that also makes it for like good cover because
that's
like
kind of what I was
no one
thinking.
can hear you. Yeah,
excellent. I think I guess I get everybody as much as possible. Maybe not Talgan. He seems busy.
No, Talgan wants to be there. He's responsible.
Okay.
He is responsible with an elf in his lap. Is all.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, cover her ears while we talk.
Don't worry, she's just drunk enough where she's not really listening.
Okay. I think I'm also just sort of staring incredulously. I'm assuming this is not a common thing.
Talgan looks at you, looks at her, then looks back at you and says, apparently there was a rumor going around the clans about my sexual prowess. Don't know how it got started, don't remember. But I am fine with it. I am personally fine with this rumor.
Is it true?
I don't remember.
I like punch him in the shoulder and say, well, I guess you better live up to it tonight, eh?
He says, I intend to.
Excellent.
I grab some wine and I say, okay, well, enough joking around. Lannon's here, right?
Yeah, he's looking a little miserable, but he's present.
That's he always miserable. What's different?
Yeah, that's fair.
I have some news I need to share with all of you. As much as I'd want to just end this night with drinking, we can do that after we have this conversation. I just had a very interesting conversation with the keeper of Clan Sulanan.
And Lannon, he flinches, but he doesn't say anything. He takes a little, perhaps overlong pull of wine.
She had an interesting concern that she raised about the latest clans for Roshana, Naran, and Virtavan. Have you all heard of Arlath'len?
Elian just kind of stares.
Right. I just look at we're not
You do not have to roll. No, none of you have heard of Arlath'len.
we're not Dalish, Yoriel.
I forget that you Shemlin don't know anything. Apparently, these clans have been inviting other smaller clans to come and settle permanently on this land, which, and you don't know anything about the Dalish, but that's a very unusual thing to begin with. What's weird and concerning that Keeper had mentioned is that they're disappearing. Apparently, Clan Veela has completely gone missing, and they're not even here at the Arlath'ven, which is incredibly concerning. And on top of that all, they're trying to recruit high-level elves. Have you all heard of Briala?
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and say, Cassandra, no, you do not know Briala. Elian, roll cultural lore. Okay, so yeah, you definitely know the name Briala. So a couple years ago, it began, I think, not long after the Empress of Orlais, the current Empress of Orlais, was appointed. Empress Celine. She kind of stole the throne out from underneath the nose of her cousin Duke Gaspard. Gaspard was in line to inherit the throne, but then she kind of wormed her way into the Council of Heralds. She charmed everyone, and she was anointed empress instead of him. And that started a civil war between her and Gaspard. Gaspard had the allegiance of the Chevaliers, and she had the allegiance of the court. And then getting in the middle of all of that was Briala, who used to be a servant of Celine's, until Celine purged the Halam Sharal alienage, which is an act of genocide. Let's not sugarcoat it. What she did was an act of genocide against the elves. And at that point, Briala separated from service, and she formed a sort of underground elven rebellion that was centered around the elven servants in Halam Sharal and in Valrayo. She sort of made them into an underground army, spying on the nobility, sabotaging them, and those three parties were at each other's throats throughout the duration of the Orlesian Civil War, until fucking Lannon swooped in and forced them all to just stop it. Stop fighting. There's a god monster from the dawn of time trying to destroy the world. Stop fighting. He forced them to a public truce, and ended the Civil War. So yeah, that's the extremely abridged version of the last 20 years of Orlesian history. There you go.
Elian provides this information to the group in a little bit more dramatic form.
I just am looking blankly at you okay.
Yeah, that's kind of the expression on my face. Like, I don't really need the backstory, but I mean, fine, I guess.
I just told you why she's important. You seriously?
I'm just saying they want to recruit her. So Verana said she's important. I believe her.
Elian rolls his eyes.
Anyways, she'd never heard the name Solus, I asked, but...
Lannon immediately interjects, that means nothing. He's been disguising his identity from the start.
That's kind of what I've been thinking, and this feels like something he'd be involved in.
This has his fingerprints all over it, Lannon says. Rebuilding a homeland for the elves. That sounds like something that he would use to lure in. And he sighs. Initially, he didn't trust Dalish, but then he met me, and then he learned that maybe the Dalish are good after all. How courteous of him.
Well, along the way, he's clearly been disappearing people, so...
I don't know if they're dead. I don't know if he has recruited them into something else. I agree. We need to get to the bottom of this.
We need to find out what... I was thinking, not me. Someone who's not me should ask about Clan Vayela.
Well, there are a couple ways to do this. We could ask about them directly at the Harrenhal, Lannon says. Might ruffle a couple feathers, depending on what specifically happened to them.
Did we know anyone from there? Like, is this the kind of thing that I've got, like, past contacts? Or would know somebody who might have known... You know what I mean? Because it's one thing if we were to, like, ask sort of, like, oh, I was looking for my friend from this clan. Where are they? I noticed that they're, the whole clan isn't here.
Yeah, that was going to be Lennon's second option. You could just, like, ask around. Just sort of, see if anyone knows why Clan Vayela isn't here. You might not get as much information. Or you could do both, I guess, if you really...
I mean, we're definitely doing both, because I like confronting people. Well, you can take the subtle approach. I think I'm just going to ask.
That's about what I figured. Cass just
And Fenris says, we need to present these artifacts to the Harrenhal anyway, don't we? We need an audience with them, so we might as well bring it up.
Yeah. I mean, and we have the famous, and I, look around for Bren, and I'm like...
He currently has 2 children climbing on his back.
Ah, yes. Well, hopefully, maybe if we can get Ren to ask for us, it'll be a special favor to, the hero of Ferelden and all that nonsense.
And Fenris kind of looks back at him and says, he's really not keeping a low profile, huh?
I tried, Fenris. I really did. I've done everything I possibly can, short of putting a bag over his head.
We both tried. Unfortunately, people have noticed.
Well, the cat's out of the bag, but I think just if we see anybody,
Lannon says, I mean, we're gonna tell them anyway, right?
Yes.
So I guess, it's 6 one way, half dozen the other, and literally as you're talking about this, you hear, wait a minute! Ren Sabre, the hero of Ferelden, slayer of the archdemon?
Oh no.
Jesus Christ.
And, more people are starting to shout about it, and suddenly, before you know it, people are calling, someone get this man a drink! And then suddenly there's, a feast being called, the Druffalo starts getting carved, and, okay, now you're involved in a feast, apparently.
Oh boy.
What's happening now? Hey friends, Tessa here. If you're desperate to hear the next episode, chances are good that you can by joining our Discord server. We post links to all episodes in pre-release, and you can even chat with us and listen live as we record. Join us by going to bit.ly/CFCDiscord. For more information on the show, character biographies, and links to social media, head to our website, critfail.club or critfailclub.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. Crit Fail Club does not advertise at all, so if you like what you hear, tell a friend who might also like it, make a post on social media about it, or leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Full episodes are available on our YouTube channel, bit.ly/CFC channel, or wherever you get your podcasts.